if you don't like school, then we actually have a lot in common. Yo, what is good, everybody? It's your boy Noah, back again with another YouTube video. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to today's video. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I help people awaken to their true abilities through wellness and spirituality. And thank you guys so much for stopping by. In today's video, I'm going to be going over the truth about school. Now, I do want to put a disclaimer out there because I do believe that school isn't for everyone, but I do think that it is for some people. I think some people need school in their life for certain careers that they want to pursue, right? I think school is beneficial to those type of people, but in general, I want to talk about the truth about school and a lot of the major flaws that I see with the academic system as a whole, because if you guys don't know, I actually was a college dropout. I never really excelled at school. I never did well in school. And, because of that, I always thought of myself as a failure. I viewed myself as less than my peers because I didn't excel at school. I wasn't good at school. It seemed like everyone around me was really good at school, right? They would be getting A's, B's, and I would be getting C's, D's, and F's, you know what I'm saying? And it just made me really view myself as less than my classmates, you know what I mean? And I think that there is multiple different ways for people to learn, you know what I'm saying? And I think the school system all teaches in one way, and I think that can be damaging to someone's confidence, you know what I'm saying? A lot of the times, teachers make us feel like we are less than because they get paid a certain salary if we do well. If you don't necessarily excel in school, it's easy to feel bad, especially with all of the pressures of our parents and our family members, for us to do well. It can create self-confidence issues, you know what I mean? And if you are watching this video, I am here to remind you that how you do in school has no impact on the value that you have to this world, and it doesn't determine how powerful you are and how valuable and how worthy you are of success, right? And I think that it has been taught one way for, decades, right? The school system hasn't, the academic system as a whole hasn't really changed much in terms of the curriculum. It is made for a certain set of people, a certain set of learners, and you can't really teach a fish how to climb a tree, right? And some of us are fishes, right? Some of us don't really know how to excel in school, and I was one of those guys, and some people are made really well for school, they excel in school and they actually do really well. I feel like there's a lot of people who are in school right now who don't necessarily like where they're at because their parents probably want them to do really, really well, but they just can't, and I think that there's a lot of people out there who feel lost, who feel like they don't know what they want to do in their life, and they think that school is necessary for them. And I'm here to remind you that school isn't necessary for you. If you don't really like school and you aren't good at it, you don't have good grades, it's not the end of the world, and I want to come on here to remind you that don't let anyone make you feel bad for doing poorly in school, because this is always the belief that I have had. I think the educational system programs us to believe that their way is the only way and we have to excel at the standard curriculum in order for us to get a good job. But in reality, school teaches us how to conform. It teaches us how to be obedient, you know what I'm saying? And because if you've noticed, the people who actually speak out and speak against teachers, or they don't necessarily agree with their teacher, right? They're the ones who are looked at as the bad kids, right? The disobedient students, right? But in reality, they might just be challenging a teacher's philosophy, or how, you know, they might say that you can teach in a different way, or they're not really accustomed to that teacher's learning, so they want to challenge that teacher. And because of that, you know, because school teaches conformity so much, whenever a student actually speaks out, right, it's not just the teacher who looks at them as the bad guy or the disobedient one or the misbehaved child, it's everybody else in the class as well, right? Because we're so deeply conditioned to move how everyone else moves and to do as everyone else says, and we're taught to raise our hand if we want to ask a question, right? That's all conformity. That's all practicing being the same, right? And the reality of the situation is that we're all different, and because we're all different, the uniqueness of that is understanding that we all learn in a different way, right? And so because of that, not everyone is going to excel in the school venue, right? Not everyone's going to excel at being a lawyer, right? Being a doctor, right? These are professions that you need school for, you know, but not everyone's going to excel at doing that. And I think that once we realize what we actually want to do in our life, it can be huge for feeling better about ourselves, you know, not letting grades dictate how we feel, right? Because there was a point in my life when I was in high school where I stopped caring, you know, I stopped letting the grades define my mood, right, whenever I showed up to school. And as soon as I did that, right, I swore to myself that I wasn't going to let any teacher make me feel bad because of the grades that I had. And, you know, ever since then, it made me a lot more happier. You know, it made high school go through a lot easier because I wasn't stressing out over grades, because I knew that it didn't dictate the power that I have and the success that I want to achieve in my life, right? And so if you are in school, right, and you probably don't like it, right? If you don't like school, know that I am with you. You know, I think that there is a lot that the school system needs to change, right? Because it is very, very outdated, and it hasn't changed since it hasn't changed a lot since the academic system actually started. And so if you're wondering, yeah, but Noah, I don't really like school, but I also don't know what I want to do in my life. You know, I don't know what I want to make a career out of. And if you're asking that question, my answer would be to find things that you enjoy doing. You know, what is something that you are passionate about, that you have a passion for? You know, anything that we have a passion for and that we love, right, we're automatically going to excel at, because we're going to want to work hard, right? And hard work leads towards our success, right? And it leads to us starting our own business and us starting our own career, right, by ourselves. Right, with the internet, there's so many different ways to make money, and there's so many different avenues that we can go towards in order for us to fulfill a successful life, right? Success is dependent on you, right? It doesn't matter, it's not dependent on how much money you make, right? It's dependent on what you enjoy doing with your life, right? And so it's important for us to break out of the norm of conformity, right? Be you authentically. Don't be afraid to express yourself because you're afraid it might offend somebody else. A lot of leaders in our society weren't afraid to speak up against what they didn't agree with, you know, and so don't let the intimidation of conformity lead you towards not being yourself, you know, because that is something that I was guilty of throughout my whole school career, pretty much. So that is the truth about school. Before I end this video, I want to ask you guys a question. What has school taught you? Whether it's what it's taught you about yourself or about life in general, what has school taught you? You know, it doesn't have to be academic related, right? But I'm just curious as to what school actually taught you. And yeah, so I really hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I hope you guys found value in it. You know, if you find yourself struggling in school, understand that I was there too, and don't let your grades upset and dictate your life. You know what I mean? And sometimes you have to tell your loved ones, you know, that you don't excel at school. You know, school isn't for everybody. And so if you guys have any questions, comments, or concerns, or if you have any future video recommendations for me to talk about, feel free to let me know down in the comment section below. But with all that being said, my beautiful beings, have a wonderful afternoon, morning, or night wherever you're at. And peace, love, and happiness. Mwah.